Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Okay, children, how is everyone? Okay, then wonderful. You all are well, preparing well for the exams, studying. Okay, that's great. Today we are going to solve one more paper, that is Computer Science Paper 2, Algorithms, Programming and Logic. This paper is of May-June 2024. The variant is 221021. As you can see, the duration of the paper is 1 hour 45 minutes. You have to answer on the question paper. No additional material is required. You have to answer all the questions. You have to use a dark blue pen or a black pen. You may use an IG pencil in case you need to draw a diagram, or you have to draw some graph. Write your name, center number, and candidate number in boxes at the top of the page. Write your answer to each question in the given space. Do not use correction fluid at all. Do not write on any barcodes. Calculators must not be used in the paper. So please do not carry the calculator at all. The paper is of 75 marks. The total marks for each question or part of the question are given in the brackets. There's no mark awarded for using the brand name. So please refrain from using the brand names. Question number 1. Tick one box to complete this sentence. Now, a validation check to make sure that an email contains an @ symbol. As you can see, the email contains an @ symbol. By the way, rain check. Is it going to be a validation check to make sure that an email address contains an @ sign is a rain check? Definitely not. A visual check? Not at all. That's great that you know that visual check is basically for verification. Presence check or format check. Now see for yourself that @ sign means it will be the format check. So you will simply take this one and you will score 1 out of 1. Okay? Because @ symbol is used in email address, it is going to see the format of your email address. That @ symbol is there before the domain and .com, and this is what is going to be the format check. Not presence check. Definitely visual check is not at all feasible, and brain check is also not feasible. Any questions? Okay. Now moving on to question number 2. 4 descriptions of programming concepts and 5 programming statements. 4 descriptions of programming concepts and 5 programming concepts are shown. Draw one line to link each description to the most appropriate programming concept. Now let's see the descriptions first. A subroutine that may not return a value that is declared and used within a specific procedure, a value that a procedure expects you to supply when it is called, a subroutine that will always return a value. And the concepts that are given to us are function, procedure, parameter, global variable, and local variable. Okay, do you want to attempt it on your own? Okay, fine. Giving you a minute. Very quickly do it, and then you can verify the answers that are they matching or not. Come on, your time starts now. Done? May we discuss? Okay, that's great. A subroutine that may not return a value, not return. By the way, which one does not return a value? Yes, that's correct. The procedure. A value that is declared and used within a specific procedure. Within. That means either of these two, global variable or local variable. Since it says a value that is declared and used within a specific procedure, that means it is going to be your local variable. A value that a procedure expects you to supply when it is called. A value that is sent to the procedure or to the function, that is going to be parameter. A subroutine that will always return a value, means that will be your function. So if you have identified, you have actually understood each and everything well, you've identified, you have written it appropriately, then definitely you will be able to score 4 out of 4. Easy? Any issues with understanding any of the concepts? So see, in hardly 2 to 3 minutes, you have scored 5 out of 5. Isn't it easy? Okay, that's great. Can we move on to the next question? Okay, question number, the next part. Write the pseudocode to use a procedure named average that passes the values 25 and 50 to the procedure. Now you can see procedure is the key thing here. How do you call? If you recall, the keyword is call. So that is the main thing. The name of the procedure is average, that is written here, call average. And these are the two values, these are the two parameters. So since they are already mentioned for you, then you will simply say call average brackets 25, 50. This was only needed here. So if you have identified the keyword call properly, you have written the proper name of the procedure and you have written the arguments properly, then definitely you are able to score 2 marks. Okay, easy? Okay, part 3, the part C. Outline the role of procedures and functions in creating a program that is easier to maintain. Now they're asking you, why do we use procedures and functions? What is the advantage? And recall, what have we learned in the class? And it's a 3-mark question. Okay, that's great, wonderful. The keyword abstraction, as you can recall. Now, very important thing is whenever we use a procedure or a function, the biggest advantage is it is there to divide the program into smaller, manageable segments. So you can say manageable parts of the program. And then it becomes easy to understand. It is easy to debug also, rather than making the whole program and then debugging it later. It's always better to make smaller programs or manageable programs, and then because they're easy to understand, you can find out the errors in them easily. That is going to be giving you 1 mark. Fine. Now, secondly, procedures or functions with meaningful names help to provide documentation for the program, or it enables or helps the or provides abstraction. By the way, this is what we have already discussed, that with procedures or functions, it becomes easier to handle the work. It is helping us in abstraction procedure. And by the way, can you recall what is abstraction? Ignoring whatever is not needed and concentrating on only the required part. That's great, wonderful. Procedures and functions may be reused. Biggest advantage of using a procedure or a function is it can be reused in the program, and the same procedure or function can be reused in other programs also. And inshallah, you will learn later also a lot of things, that once you have made a procedure or function, you have stored it somewhere in a program library, then that can be reused in multiple programs, and that is the easiest thing for us to do. And procedures and functions are going to reduce, or they are going to reduce the program code, and that is one of the basic features of a good program. A good program is the one that is using lesser lines of code. So we just see this example. For example, I was asked to calculate the average. So rather than writing down the same code repeatedly, I have just written a procedure once, and I am just calling the procedure as many times as I want to. By the recall, we have done an example of, remember, we have done the example of stars, making the procedure for printing of the stars. And you can see that there we have learned that we were calling stars procedure as many times as I want to. And that was reducing my line of code. Okay. So this is one of the biggest advantages, that once you have written the procedures or functions, then your program code, the actual program code, is going to be reduced to a certain extent. Easy? Any questions? Okay. Question number 3. State what is meant by the data type integer and real. Give an example of each. You can see integer, a whole number, and any example can be quoted. This is just an example. If, for example, another student wrote, and remember, there's only one example, another student wrote 12, he is correct. And the student wrote 100, 199, they all are accurate because they all are quoting the example of an integer value. And if you have written the definition properly, as you have stated it properly, you have written the example properly, then definitely you'll be scoring 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1. In this manner, just for your sake, we have identified it so that you can understand, written the meaning of the word integer properly, a whole number, 1 mark, a proper example given, that means 1 mark. Similarly, for real, a number that contains a fractional part. And any example, like another student can say 200.90, perfect. Okay, fine. Now, if, for example, I say 10.0, is it also correct? Yes, that's also correct. That is also an example of real. So I hope that now it is making sense to all of us. So just for your sake, it is written here so that you can see that these 4 marks are divided in such a manner. So if you have understood how to answer, you can easily score 4 out of 4. Any questions? An easy topic, no? Okay, now question number 4. This pseudocode algorithm is intended to allow at random between 1 and 20 values to be entered and totaled. The total and average of the entered values are output at the end of the algorithm. Now, by the way, just read the algorithm. I'm giving you 2 minutes, and then we will discuss. Now, by the way, we have to identify the line numbers of 4 errors and the pseudocode also, and with the suggested correction. So just go through it very quickly so that you can comprehend yourself. Where do you think are the errors? Okay, now let me read it. Maybe that will help you in understanding a bit. Line number 1, declare. Okay, now just remember one thing, line numbers are only for reference. Declare loop string, declare limit integer, declare value real, declare total real. Total equal to 0 or assignment operator, limit, assignment operator round, random, this is the function, and round is also a function, multiply by 19, comma 0, plus 1. If loop, assignment operator 1 to limit, output, enter a number, input loop. Total, assignment operator total plus total into value, next loop. Output, the total of the numbers entered is total. Line number 13, output, the average of the numbers entered is total upon limit. Now, have you identified the errors here? Okay, fine. Okay, that's great, wonderful. And that's really great, Ali, that you are able to identify at least one error right now. What about others? Okay, now if we just see line number 1, declare loop string, and you can see the word loop is used here. It is used with if, by the way. This if is also incorrect actually. Now what we do is we see that is if ending with next or is it ending with end if? It should end with end if. So that is not the case, and it means it is an error. And by the way, if you know that in order to find out the total, we use a loop. So it means that that is also an error. So you identified line number 1 has an error. Fine. Now just do it quickly. Line number 1 has an error. Okay. What have we done? Line 1. This is an error. Line number 2, correct. Line number 3, correct. Line number 4, correct. Line number 5 is also correct. 6 is also correct because here you can see it's a nested one. First of all, it will be finding out a random number between 1 and 20 values. And then you are performing, once random value has been generated, then it is going to be rounded off to the value to 1, to like no decimal place, and then a 1 will be added to it. Now, if is a problem, it means that this shouldn't be here. And input loop, by the way, we are using loop for the loop thing, so it can't be loop. It has to be the variable value. And total, into value is wrong, it should have been total plus value. So it means that we have identified the lines that contain an error, like line number 1, line number 7, line number 9, and line number 10. 1, 7, 9, and 10. Understood? Are we clear? Have you identified the same errors? Okay, that's great. Let's redo it. Then see how will we attempt the question and is our answer matching or not. Error 1, line number, you have to mention line 1, that is declare loop string. If a student has written line number, that's excellent. But another student who wrote this whole line, that's also perfectly okay. For correction, you have to mention declare loop colon integer. That was a mistake. Then we identified line number 7 as the error. So you can see if loop assignment operator 1 to limit is wrong, it should have been for loop assignment operator 1 to limit. So this was the error here. So this is what is identified in line number 7. The error was this one. Then error line number 3. The third error is in line number 9. Input loop is wrong, should have been input value. And fourth error is in line number 10. It shouldn't be total equals to total plus. Into value should have been total assignment operator total plus value. Understood? And just for making you comprehend, there is the same algorithm is rewritten so that you can see that this is how it should look like. Fine, just for the purpose of making you comprehend. Otherwise, that is not needed at all. Please be clear. That is just done here to make you comprehend that this should be your corrected algorithm. Understood? Okay. Part B. In this manner, you have identified the errors properly. You have written the corrected code, then definitely you will be able to score 4 out of 4. Okay, now. Part B. Write the pseudocode statement that would output the average calculated in line 13 of the algorithm rounded to 1 decimal place. And you can see this is what is the requirement, and it's a 2-mark question. And remember, we have to write down the pseudocode statement. So first of all, try to understand what is needed. You have to use the correct use of round with two arguments. And remember, round is needing 2 values, 2 parameters. One is which number to be rounded, and second one is to how many places. So this should be included here, the use of round properly with the right number of parameters. And then just an example is mentioned here that it is taken from here. The total upon limit was there. It could show you a value in any number of decimal places. But if you want to restrict it to 1 decimal place only, then what we need is we have to put the value of comma 1. And this is the correct line. Output, the average of the numbers entered is, till now this is the same. But the chain that you can see here is the use of this round. This is actually the chain that should have been written properly to score 2 out of 2. See, this is what was needed there. Okay, this was the need. This was required actually. So you were supposed to mention output, the average of the numbers entered is the same, but then you have to mention this round, and then within brackets, you will mention total upon limit, comma, and then 1. So if you have used the right syntax, you have written the right arguments in the right order, then definitely you will be able to score 2 out of 2. Easy? Just be clear about the use of the round function and how to handle it. Now, part C. Any questions in this regarding this topic? Are we all clear about it? Okay, that's great. Explain how you should alter the original corrected algorithm to make sure that all the numbers entered are between 1 and 500 inclusive. If any numbers fall outside these limits, a replacement value is requested and entered. Just concentrate. First thing is you have to explain. And secondly, you don't have to rewrite the algorithm at all. So if any student has not understood this question properly, he has started writing down the pseudocode, that he will not score any mark at all. So be very clear. They want you to explain how would you make sure. See this question, if I show you this pseudocode once again, this algorithm once again, it will input the value, and we are actually not checking this value. In other words, you can see that this value after being input should be checked, that it is within the certain range, which is not checked right now. When we are simply inputting the value and we are just going ahead, we are not just checking the value. So what we are supposed to do here is we have to ensure that the value entered are in this limit, are in this range. So what should you be doing? Definitely it won't be possible with a count control loop. That's correct. Very good. So I'll be going for a conditional loop, isn't it? By the way, can we recall the conditional loops? Okay, that's wonderful. A while loop or a repeat until loop. So any of these will be okay. So they're asking you to explain. So you will write down the explanation in the form of points to find out to get this task done accurately. So if a student has chosen while, so see what should you be doing? I showed you the line now. I showed you the line. After line 9 or after the input is taken, you have to insert a while loop. And this is, or you can say it's going to be a precondition loop. And this precondition loop is going to be inserted to check that the value entered is within the range. Like it should be within 1 and 500 inclusive. And if the value is not within the range, then you have to output an error message, and you will be prompting the person, you will be prompting the user to re-input the data. And this is what is to be written in simple English to make the examiner right now comprehend that what is the chain that is required to get this task done if you have chosen a while loop. Or maybe some other student has chosen, has thought of a repeat until loop or a post condition loop. So what should you do? You have to see for yourself that in this case, before the input statement, before the input line, or you can say before line number 8, you will be starting a repeat loop or a post condition loop. After line 9 or after the input is taken, you are going to close and you'll be checking the loop that if the value entered was between 1 and 500 inclusive. If not, then we have to move back to the repeat line so that the person will be asked to re-enter. And this will continue until the number is entered within the given range. So in this manner, if you have written your expression properly, you have explained it properly in the proper sequence, then you will definitely be able to score 4 out of 4. So just for your convenience, both the methods are discussed so that if a student thinks of a precondition loop, that's perfectly okay. Another student thought of the post condition loop, so he is also okay. And remember, we definitely cannot use it with for loop because for is just iterating. And I mean, either you do it with for and then you go for the condition checking inside, fine, perfectly okay. But then that is the best thing to do. So we have to go for the validations. We are never going to use for loop for this purpose. It will be done through a conditional loop structure. Any issues? Words can be different, like definitely, but remember the sequence. You have to follow the sequence so that you are able to score. Okay, now question number 5. Any questions, any problem till now? Okay, that's wonderful. Question number 5. Write the pseudocode statements to perform this task. But what is this task? Accept the input of a whole number from 1 to 4 inclusive. That's easy. Use a case statement to output the number 1 to 4 inclusive that was entered. Output the word error if a 1 to 4 inclusive number was not entered. So this is actually a 5-mark question. See, how will you score? So just go sequence wise. First stage is accept the input of a whole number. So again, should I go for some validation? No, not at all. See, the first statement is input number. Then we have to use case. You can see they have written it for us that we have to use a case statement only, no if. Case of number. The same number as we have taken input in will be used here as case. 1 colon output number, 2 colon output number, 3 colon output number, 4 colon output number. Otherwise, now if the input was neither was not falling in any of these categories that was entered here, 1 to 4 inclusive, it was not there, then the message of error will be displayed on the computer screen. So otherwise, output error, end case. See, so simple. Okay, now another student would have entered this input number, case of number, fine, but he entered output 1, output 2, output 3, output 4, perfect. Otherwise, output error, that's also perfect. So that is why we have shown both the methods. So either a student chose variable to be used here, and the student chose 1, 2, 3, 4 to be entered here. That's perfectly okay, because they both have entered the right choice. Any issues? But you need to see how will you score. Marking points. Correct input statement, 1 mark. Elements of selection statement present that you have written case of and end case properly in the right sequence, that's perfect. At least one correct branch in the case statement here, it means that you written the conditions properly. All branches from 1 to 4 is going to give you definitely another point. Correct use of otherwise, because you need to go with the same message. Please be clear if they have given you this message, so you have to use the same message. That's why they say with correct outputs. If the student has understood this properly, but when he was writing, he out of flow wrote any other message. So it will not be considered as like maybe they will not give you any mark for that, because it means that you have not read the question properly, you have not understood the question. So they may not give you 1 mark for that purpose. So be cautious, underline the key things so that you're not going to miss out anything. The best thing to do is do it the same way as I'm teaching you, as we have learned in the class also. Okay, any issues? Any questions regarding this case of variable? So here, since the number is the variable number is number, well, perfect. I mean, since there's no yes, Ali, since there's no compulsion for any variable being written here, they just said accept the input of a whole number. So you can use any variable. You can say num number, but again, remember, this is what we have been practicing since the beginning of our pseudocode writing, that variables should depict their nature. We looking at the variable, we should judge what are they meant for. So if I say n, that is not a very good choice. So that is why a suggested variable name should be number. Any issues? Any further questions before we proceed to the next? Let's start question number 6. The flowchart represents an algorithm. Now let's see the flowchart. I can see this is the start button. This is the start. Then we have input limit, count equals to 1, input numbers count. Count equals to count plus 1. Is count greater than limit? Yes, so it is moving down and the value flag is initialized with true. If this is not the case, then it is moving back and it is now taking input in numbers count. By the way, looking at this, what strikes your mind? Okay, that's right. Numbers is an array, and we are starting it with location number 1, and we are storing as many items, as many values in that array as the limit value is. Fine. Now, after that, the value flag is true. If this flag equals to true, yes, it is moving down. If the value of flag is not equal to truth, it is moving here. And you can see result, assignment operator, limit div to plus 1. By the way, can we recall what is the function of div? Yes, what is the function of div? Div is meant to give you the integer division, exactly. So what you can see here is it will, whatever the value of limit is, it will be divided by 2, and the quotient will be stored, or the integer division result will be stored, and then we are going to add 1 to it. And that value, that position which is computed will be displayed, that position value will be displayed, and the program will stop. If this is not the case, the value of flag is not is equal to true is yes, it is going to move down and the value of flag will become false. The value of count will become 1. And then we are checking, is count greater than limit minus 1. If it's yes, it moves up and it is going to check. If that is not the case, then it is going to move to the no situation. And here you can see we are going to compare numbers count with the numbers count plus 1. By the way, will this line be changing, or will this box be changing the value of count? Okay, that's great one, Ali. Okay, so we are just comparing the value that is present in at numbers count location with the values that with the value that is present in count plus 1 location. For example, if the value of count is 1, so the first value, the first position value will be compared with second position value. So now you can see, is numbers count greater than numbers count plus 1? Yes, it is going to move down. And then you can see swap will hold the value of first location. Then we are going to move the second location data to the first location. And then on the second location, the value will move from swap. And then we are initializing the value of flag with true. The control moves down, the count value is increased by 1, and then it moves up here, checks the value is count greater than limit minus 1. If yes, it will continue. If no, then it will move here. Any questions? Any problem in comprehending this whole flow chart before we proceed to the actual data for the trace table? Just take your time, go through this. You have a query, you can raise your concern. You know query? Fine. Now let's move on to the trace table. What the trace table is, now we have to complete the trace table for the input data. And now you can see we have these values 7, 47, 50, 52, 60, 80, and 63, and 70. Now, assuming that we now you can see for yourself, a few values are already filled in. Like you have the inputs taken. You can see the value of input for limit is going to be storing the value of 7 into your variable, limit. So here you can see the value of limit is going to be set with 7. Then immediately we are getting the count value will be initialized with 1. And then we are storing the input, and that will be stored at location number 1. So in this manner, the loop will iterate count goes to count plus 1, the count value will become 2. Is count greater than limit? No, it will move up, and it will keep on storing the values in their respective locations. So just see for yourself. I hope that you are clear with this one. Input limit taken, the value of 7 is stored in limit, and then we are just moving on to the trace table for all the input data. Now you can see the value of limit was 7. It means that we are now going to check with count value 1. The first input was 47 that was stored in location number 1. The second input taken once again, it was stored in location number 2. 50 was stored in location number 2. Then next input was taken 52 that was stored at location number 3. Then the next input was taken and that was stored at location number 4. And as you can see, the values are stored in their respective locations, one after the other. The first one is 7 in is limit variable, and 47 at location number 1, 50 at location number 2, 52 at location number 3, 60 at location number 4, then 80 at location number 5. As you can see, the next value 63 is stored at location number 6, as you can see, and the last value 70 is stored at location number 7. Any questions? And you can see in all these instances, the value of count is increased by 1. Fine. And then the value of count became 8. And since now the value of count is now greater than limit, the value of count is now greater than 7. 8 is greater than 7. So that is why what will happen, the loop will not be there for this purpose of taking inputs, and it will move down, and the value of flag will be initialized with true. Any issues? Any questions? As far as this input state is concerned, the data is taken input and stored in the respective locations in an array. Are you clear? Exactly. We have done this in our pseudocode writing. So here we are just understanding how the same question can come in our paper for storing the values in the respective locations. Now you can see when the value of count had become 8, the value was the flag value was true, and now this is now we are going to work on. The value of flag is true. Is flag equals to true? Since it is yes, that's why we are moving down, and the value of flag will become false, and the value of count will become 1. As you can see here, can you see? The value of flag will become false, the value of count will become 1. And now we are just going to move on to the comparing. Is count greater than limit minus 1? No, it is not the case. So in this case, it will be moving here, and now it will keep on comparing the values. Like here in this case, you can see the value of numbers count, numbers 1 is 47. Is 47 greater than 50? No. Is 50 greater than 52? No. Is 52 greater than 60? No. Is 60 greater than 80? No. Is 80 greater than 63? Yes. So now I've just to do it, I've just done it a little faster because this what we have already covered a bit. The value of flag was false, and the count value was increased from 1 to 2 to 3 when the comparison was made. And then you can see the value of 63 was above 80. So definitely in this case, the value 80 was moved to the swap variable, as you can see here. And the locations have changed, like 63 has come at the location of 80, and then 80 has moved from the swap location to this location number 7. So in this case, you can see now this is the only time when the value of when this condition was true, when we had 80 compared with 63, and definitely that resulted in the value which was swapped. And now you can see the value of count was definitely increased 1 by 1 for each instance, for each value. They were compared, and the value of count was definitely increased, but no swapping was done. That's why we had moved to this location, and the value of count was only increased. Now you can see after that what happens. Any issues till now? To this point, no swapping was done, but when the comparison was made between 63 and 80, then we observed that 63 had taken the position of 80 after the value of 80 had moved to the location in a variable in swap. And now you can see the value of count was again increased, and this is the situation. Now you can see after that what was compared. Now, after that, like first of all, we had compared the value of 80 and 63. They were swapped. Now it was between 80 and 70. It was done, so definitely now it is between 80 and 70. Will again swapping be done? Yes, definitely. So now you can see again swapping was done. So 80 was moved to the variable swap. 70 came to the location of 80, and 80 has moved back to this. And the value of swap was again true. The value was 7. Now you can see is the value of count greater than limit minus 1. So definitely that can happen. Limit was 7. 7 minus 1 means 6. The value of count has become 7. Is 7 greater than 6? So condition is true. So in this case, once this iteration is over, then it moves back, and the value of flag was again checked for whether it's true or false. Now, coming back to this of our flowchart. So you can see here the value was checked. Is the condition true? So definitely it is true. So it is going to move down. See, the value was compared, first of all, 47 with 50, 50 with 52, 52 with 60, 60 with 80. No swapping was done. But when it was between 63 and 80, then definitely swapping was done. 80 came here, then it was compared with 70. So 70 also was swapped. So it means in this manner, what you observed was the value is going to be this one. So this is your situation. Fine. So all the values were present at the respective locations except for 63 and 70, which had changed their positions with 80. And now 80, which is the highest value among all the values entered, has reached the last location. And the value of swap is true. Now we are just moving to the value of 7. Increase of count was made, and the value of count became 7. We made the comparison. Is count greater than limit minus 1? Definitely it is now greater than limit minus 1. So it moved up. It has checked the condition, moved to the location. Is flag equals to true? Yes. So now again, we are performing the same activity. The value of flag become false. We are going to move on to the count also becoming 1. And that is shown here. Is it easy? By the way, just recalling, we have done something similar to this one earlier. Yes, exactly. Now, it means it will result in the value of count becoming 1 false. And now you can see, any issues till now? The value of count was initialized with 1. The value of flag was initialized with false. And then you can see what happens. Let's move back. Is count greater than limit minus 1? The value of count is 1 and the value of limit is 7. So 7 minus 1 is 6. So is count greater than 6? No, condition is not. So it moved here and it is now going to check the value of count with count plus 1. So what will happen? Now again, the same comparison was done since 47 and 50 were compared, no change had occurred. And 50 and 52 were compared, no change had occurred. 52 and 60 were compared, again, no change had occurred. Now you can see, now it is no more 63, 80, it is now 63. 63 and 70 compared, again, no change had occurred. Then 70 and 80 were compared, again, no change had occurred. So in this manner, you can see for yourself that once the whole iteration is you can say, as again, the same process is repeated, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in reality, you can see for yourself that there is no change in the values, and that is why the swap variable, the swap variable and the flag variable are not changed. They are storing their like the swap is not storing any value as such. It is just the previous value that is present there, and the value of flag is still false. Now we are done with this whole thing, and you can see for yourself. After these all iterations are done, no change had taken place, count value was increased, and now count is greater than limit minus 1. Now the condition is now, it's now true. 7 is greater than 6. So now it moves here. Is flag goes to true? Is flag true? No. Now the value of flag is now false. So that is why now it moves here. And what I explained you earlier, the same thing will happen here. The result will be computed. Limit was 7. 7 div 2 means 7 was divided by 2. So what is the result? That's great, wonderful. Definitely, and 7 is divided by 2. Then what you get as integer division result is 2 times 3 is 6. So 3. And 3 plus 1, we are using plus 1 here also. So 3 plus 1 means the fourth location. Output numbers result. It means output numbers in this array, location number 4. So now let's see what the value at location number 4 is. I can see location number 4 has the value of 60, and that is not changed at all. That's why you can see your output column will hold the value of 60. This column is for result that we have completed right now. How did we get this for? I think we are clear about it, isn't it? And then we have seen that what is present at location number 4, that is 60. And in this manner, you can get the answers, because if you have done it accurately, then definitely the marks are yours. Any issues? Okay. Now part B, outline the processes involved in the algorithm shown in the flowchart on page 6. Now this is a 3-mark question. How will you score? See, you have to mention what is done. Actually, you go through this. The first thing that is done is we have input a set number of values. And these values were stored in an array. Then after that, what we observed was the numbers were sorted. And if you are able to recall bubble sort, that's excellent. And if you can say bubble sort the data into ascending order, as you can see, the values were arranged in ascending order. That will be great. And then what we did in the end, like you can see, is 3 marks means that you have to write down 3 valid points. So first, initially, we had taken the inputs and those values were stored into an array. Then second stage is we had sorted the data, and the data was stored in an ascending order. And the lastly, what was done was the middle value is found, and then that value is output. Or you can say the median value is found, is computed, and the value present at that location is displayed. Any issues? Are you clear? Okay, that's wonderful, excellent. Still a query, any query to even ask. It's a bit different, exactly, Ali. It's a bit different, but I think it's dealing with the same bubble sort as we have done in pseudocode writing, as well as we have seen a number of questions of bubble sort that are coming in our flowchart questions. So I hope that that is not a problem for you people, isn't it? Why do we need to store the data in a file? Data stored in a file gives a permanent copy. It prevents the data from being lost. So it can be recalled or used again in a program, can be stored elsewhere or transferred to another computer. Now that is the basic reason of storing the data in a file. Why do we store? So that we can save it permanently, and we can, it prevents the data from being lost. It can be recalled or used again. That is also one of the reasons. The function length x calculates, the second part, the second B part. The function length x calculates the length of a string x. Write the pseudocode statements to read the contents of the text file quotation.txt into an appropriate string variable that has been declared. Output the string in uppercase and the length of the string. So first thing is you have to read the contents of the text file. Now the first thing is read the contents of the text file, this into an appropriate string. This is your next task, that you have to read the contents of the file and into a string value. And this string has been declared. You have to output the string in uppercase as well as the length of the string. So these are the two output that is needed here. So as you identified, it's a 4-mark question. So you can see from here, this is how you will score. You have opened the file properly. You have declared the string variable properly. You have used the write statement for reading the data from the file, that is read file. You have used the proper uppercase and length of the string to find out the length of the string, the appropriate statements, and definitely you will be able to score marks. Besides this, you need to definitely close the file also. Just example, declare. Declare words. Now, since they have not mentioned the variable, that's why you can choose any word, any variable. But since the word is very much close to what the thing is, that's why they have taken words, and its data type is going to be string. Open file. The name of the file is given here, quotation.txt. So we have open quotation.txt for read. Read file, quotation.txt, comma words. So the data will be read from your file into the string words. And then what are we doing is we are simply using ucase, the string function ucase, output ucase of words, comma, length of words. And simply then you will close the file and you will be able to score the marks. See, it's easy. If you have learned the whole syntax, then you can do it very easily. And question number 8. Consider the logic expression z equals to r or not t, XOR not s and t. So you can see XOR is your basic operation. It is in the end. First one is r is not, r is or, with the value coming from t, that is not it first, and it is reaching the OR gate. So it's basically r not t or, and the result is going to the XOR gate. Another one is not s and t. It means that s will be knotted first. As you can see, s will be knotted, and the result will be sent to the AND gate. And this AND gate is going to get one more input coming from t. And be cautious, this line should be drawn before the NOT gate. And then it will be reaching the AND gate. And then this is going to be completing one area of the statement, like the lower part of the statement, and you will be moving the result to the last XOR gate. So you can see every single gate is going to give you 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have drawn the XOR gates, the gates properly, you have made the proper lines. So definitely you will be scoring the marks. Any issues with this? Any problem? I think we all have become quite comfortable with logic gates, so that is not a problem. Part B. Complete the truth table from the given logic expression. Now, this is my Z, my required one. So just for the purpose of making you comprehend, they have been labeled with a different color to make you understand faster. Not T first. So you can see we have actually performed the not operation, the knotting of the signal T. So you can see it became 1 0, 1 0, 1 0, and 1 0. This is the result for not T. Then we have done R or not T, means that we have taken these signals along with this not T and we have found the R or not T. R or not T means 0 or 1, a 1. 0 or 0, a 0. 0 or 1, a 1. 0 or 0, a 0. 1 or 1, a 1. 1 or 0, a 1. It will be a 1 or 1 will be a 1. And you can see for yourself 1 or 0 is going to be a 1. So in this manner, we have got this result. Are you clear? And then we have not S. Not S means we have reversed the value for S. 0 became a 1, 0 became a 1, 1 became a 0, 1 became a 0, 0 became a 1, 0 became a 1, 1 became a 0, and 1 became a 0. In this way we got the not S. Lastly, it is not S and T. Not S and T. So not S and T. 1 and 0, a 0. 1 and 1, a 1. 0 and 0, a 0. 1 and 0, a 0. 0 and 1, a 0. 1 and 1, a 1. 0 and 0, a 0. 1 and 0 is 0. In this manner, we got these two columns to be performed on with XOR. So now, any questions till now? Not T done first, then we have R or not T, then not S, and then we have not S and T. And lastly, we are going to perform the XOR operation on these two signals. 1, XOR 0, since it is opposite a 1. 0, XOR 1, again opposite a 1. 1, XOR 0, again opposite is a 1. 0, XOR 0, similar is a 0. 1, XOR 0, opposite is a 1. 1, XOR 1, same is a 0. 1, XOR 0 is going to be a 1, opposite being opposite, and 1, XOR 0 will be again a 1. So in this manner, your final answer is 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. So in this manner, if you have written the right expression, you have drawn the right logic circuit, you have taken help from the working space properly, then definitely your answer will be accurately coming in a very short span of time. Any issues? Now, question number 9. A database table called soft drinks stores details of the soft drinks sold by a small shop. The fields: name, example data is cola, supplier, Cambridge Beverages, container, can, size CL 330, number in stock 30, reorder level 15, reordered yes. State whether any of the given fields would be suitable as a primary key and give a reason for your answer. So you can see for yourself, by the way, do you think any of the fields, looking at the example data, is suitable to become the primary key? Remembering that primary key means a key or a value that stores unique values. Is it meeting any of the criteria? Is any field meeting the criteria? Exactly not. So none of the fields are likely to be the candidate, to be the primary keys, because none of them is containing the unique data. So that is what you have mentioned properly. So if none of the fields are likely to contain unique data, all of the fields are holding duplicate data. That is why we can never say that any field can be used as a primary key. Complete this SQL statement to return the number of cans the shop has in stock. I can see return the number of cans the shop has in stock. So you can see, what will I write? Select was written for me. And since it says number of cans in stock, means it is number in stock. And we have to use the sum. Remember the function that we have learned, sum, because it is say the number of cans, to return the number of cans. And that is done through this sum. Return the number of cans means it will be number in stock, and it will be my major concern. The shop has in stock, and that is cans. So it means my next one will be container. That is again my major concern. from the table name is soft drinks, as we have seen. Where was the condition checking? We are just filtering where container equals to can. So if you have mentioned it in this manner, so equals to was there, semicolon, I hope that you remember that if in this case we were simply asked to fill in the blanks, but you need to know the select statement. So with select, we use the field names, then from after from, we write the table name, and then in where clause, we are going to use the, because we are actually only getting those, we only want to filter or see those records that have the value container as can. Okay, the value can is in the is in the container field. That's why we wrote select sum within brackets. We mentioned the field name that is numbered in stock from soft drinks where container equals to can. And remember, the can word should be written within single quotes. As you can see, this is how we write it down, and semicolon will end my SQL statement. Any queries till now? Okay, the next question, inshallah, in this one. Okay, now, if you have written each and everything properly, then you will definitely be scoring 5 out of 5. So they've actually given you this much marks because of the use of sum, the use of the condition checking properly. So the student has understood these things properly, then definitely he will be able to score the marks. Okay, on the inshallah, the last question we will do very soon, inshallah. So stay tuned, subscribe the channel, and do not forget to click on the bell icon so that you are getting the updates as soon as any new videos uploaded. Jazakallah khairan kasira for being a part of the learning journey. Keep watching the videos, keep liking the channel, share with your friends and family so that they all are going to benefit from it. And please do write in the comments if you want any new videos to be made. So inshallah, stay tuned. The next last question, Ali will be done very soon, inshallah. So just stay tuned. Okay, Allah Hafiz. Take very good care of yourselves and your loved ones. Allah Hafiz.